Hiya, welcome to TableTalk Friday, your weekly dose of D&D banter between three men in a bedroom. If you like their style, please give them a follow on whichever podcast service you prefer, and come back every Friday for another upload. Now, I'll send it over to them. We'll just do it again right now. Drew, why would you go to bed?
To get to the other side, of course.
Ah!
Oh, so original. Oh, my God. What a joke.
I quit. I refuse to, start the episode over.
Oh, just cut it.
Dude, Drew, why would you go to bed?
To get to the other side, man. Am I right?
Beans, you said it again.
Oh, wow,
that was the thing I didn't want you to say.
But I said it again.
Oh, that's cringy.
That's okay.
Yep. We have to talk for at least 20 more minutes.
Yeah, that way we have a good starting spot to cut into.
So how about that airline food?
My gosh, what is up with that stuff?
Speaking of airlines, plane tickets are expensive. Because I'm trying to go to a convention this summer, and
Which convention, Seth?
So I'm looking at RTX in Austin because, I might be a little bit of a Rooster Teeth podcast fan. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I want to go to RTX this summer. I've already been once. I went back in 2019, but I want to cosplay. I want to do some sick ninja cosplay. I want to be Zabuza from Naruto.
Of course.
Yeah. So...
Do roosters have teeth?
No.
I feel like they probably don't.
They have beaks.
Do they have little tiny teeth inside, maybe?
No.
Little chicken teeth?
No.
I
mean, I don't know. I'm not friends with any roosters.
Well, I'm kind of interested now. I feel like we need to go to a farm or something.
We take a Table Talk Friday, like a little escapade to a farm.
Yeah, table talk at the farm. We can do it.
I'd love to know how you spin that to be even related to D&D a little bit.
Well, we would learn if horses actually travel 30 feet. Or 60 feet, whatever their speed is.
Yeah, we'll make it about barnyard animals.
Yeah, we test the speeds of all the animals. Have a run for us.
You're welcome, Wizards of the Coast.
We've legitimized your claims.
You didn't have a pig, but now you do. It goes 30 feet.
Does it actually take a full hour to equip your horse with armor? Let's see.
Is that in there?
Huh?
Does it actually take a horse?
I think so. It takes you 10 minutes on your own to put on armor. I feel like it would take an hour to put it on your horse.
Well, I mean, the horses probably have bigger sheets of stuff, and they don't have as many limbs and clips to put on. I don't think, right?
Yeah, it probably takes
maybe.
10 minutes.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a trained horse that isn't fighting you.
I've put a saddle on a horse before, and I can say that takes about a minute.
Really?
Yeah, because you just got to throw it over top, buckle it around the bottom, make sure it's nice and tight, and it's not sliding.
I feel like there'd be more involved than that.
No, I've saddled a horse before, and it's easy.
I put a shirt on a dog before, and it took 20 minutes. I think it's very similar.
Well, it does come down to the skill of the user as well. If whether or not you're actually, whether your dog's behaving or not. I forgot what we were talking about before. I want to cosplay at conventions, okay? Plane tickets are expensive. So it's like $400 just to go from here to Austin. I could drive there for half the price.
Yeah, probably.
But do you want to, though? It's so far.
It's a whole day.
Just
It's
fly.
16 hours for me to drive there.
That's so lonely, man. I know we talked about this yesterday. It's such a lonely drive.
You say lonely, but I am comfortable with myself. You know how long I've been single, Drew, and how many places I've gone by myself?
Well, it's totally fair, but I don't know. I get lonely, man. 16 hours in a car by yourself, it just seems sad.
Well, I mean, I spent 16 hours in my home by myself.
But it's different.
No, it's not.
It is. You're outside in the real world where wars are held and things.
Yeah.
That is where the Civil War was held.
That's
You're
true.
correct.
Who has ever made that joke?
I don't know. It just seems sad. I don't know. I don't think I could do it, to be perfectly honest. I don't know.
You can't drive 16 hours?
By myself, it's so far and lonely. I could get cold. What if I didn't have a sweater? Who would bring me an extra one?
You rely on yourself to do that.
I can't do that. There's no way I would do that. That's impossible.
I feel like a 16-hour drive would be soothing. I mean, you'd have to, not fall asleep, which would be my only concern, truly, because I do not have narcolepsy. I do not claim to have narcolepsy, but I'm this close to having narcolepsy.
Really?
Yeah, well, I'm just a sleepy guy. If you give me a chance to zone out, I will fall asleep. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, no, I have to stay focused, or it's all over.
Huh.
And that happens all the time. Like, not at work, but because obviously I'm focused. But if I'm just like relaxed, chilling out, I'm not working on anything,
That was a good snore.
and there it goes.
You
Just woke me up.
That's crazy. I lived with you for 3 years and I never noticed anything like that. Did it not feel like that in college?
Well, in college, I was always doing something, was the thing. Like,
That's fair.
I can't go to sleep because I've got homework that I'm putting off.
Or
Gotcha.
or like you have rehearsal in an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel that. I've never been like sleeping makes me anxious, dude. So like I have to mentally prep myself for sleep. Like I have to be fully comfortable in the zone, listening to something that's distracting me in order to like actually lay down and go to sleep, or else I'll just sit there.
I kind of have to force myself at some point. It's like, all right, Drew, it's time to go to bed now. You have to start your day anew, you know?
Do you have any like sleep routines you go through? Like do you listen to anything, or do you just like curl up in bed, curl up into a ball and go?
No, I look at the clock, realize that it's later than I want it to be, then sadly walk over to my bed, curl up, and that's it. That's the whole experience.
Okay. So you don't need like white noise or anything.
No, I can sleep in any situation for the most part.
Unless I have some sort of, so if I have music going, no way I'm falling asleep, dude, because I'm going to start listening to the music and bopping. Like, I've tried it before where unless it's music I don't care about or it's like lo-fi and stuff I can do that'll put me to sleep. But if I have music, like, say I took an Ed Sheeran album, an Adele album, something like that, I put it on, ain't no way I'm falling asleep because I know all the words. So I'm gonna start singing along. Now I'm awake because I'm hyped and I want to get up and start playing.
You can't block it out at all?
No.
Really?
No, because my nightly routine, I mean, I know we've never slept together, Drew, but my nightly routine, even when I lived with Zach, is I'll quietly put a podcast to the side of my bed. And whenever I was living with Zach and Sean, I would put it like under my pillow, so I would just hear it like through the pillow, so it wouldn't like keep them up. But I'll like lay the phone there, keep it turned up a little bit, and I'll focus in on the podcast, and I will listen to every single word like minutely until my brain puts me to sleep. And I don't know when in the podcast I fall asleep every night. It just happens. And there's always a sleep timer. But if there's a thunderstorm going on, I fall asleep real easy without it. If the TV is on, it's the same premise where I'm listening to the show. What else? Just any sort of like noise going on in the background that's not people talking, as in, you know, people in the apartment. If there's a party going on out there, people are having conversations, I'm listening and I'm interested. So I don't want to hear people talking.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's definitely the same case with me. Like music, absolutely not. I cannot fall asleep to music. Not even lo-fi, because I will just be vibing and I'll be like listening for harmonies and stuff.
Oh yeah, I'll start to like beatbox to it, like yeah, to, like start
exactly.
going along, and I'm like, ooh, I'm vibing right now.
yeah. But you know, TV completely different. There
Yeah.
can be music in the TV. Doesn't matter. It's TV,
Yeah.
and that just puts me to sleep like a little baby.
Yeah, if YouTube didn't have ads on my phone, I could listen to YouTube videos too. But since it does, an ad break pops up, and I know that it could be up to 15 minutes of ads if I don't click skip. And so I have to roll over and go, ugh, and like click the skip ad button.
Well, ads are loud and obnoxious a lot of the time too. Like,
Yeah, I'm like in the middle of a Moist Critical video. He's like, he's in the middle of talking, and it goes, ooh, would you like to buy blah, blah, blah pet food? And I'm like, no, I wouldn't. Let me turn over and click skip now.
I don't know. I think I definitely can't sleep with TV on, for sure.
Can't?
No, I can't do it. Anything that's new in my environment will totally throw me off. So, like, if there's a new show I haven't watched or I haven't listened to in a long period of time, I'll be too tempted to look or see what faces they're making or whatever. But if I'm listening to, you know, some of my favorite YouTube videos, some songs that I've listened to before, it's totally fine. Just absolutely block it out.
Interesting. Well, speaking of new shows, Drew and I watched The Legend of Vox Machina this
God.
week. The first 7 episodes. We have to watch 8 and 9, and then the last 3 episodes release tomorrow.
It was so good.
And if you're a Critical Role fan, it's so good. It took certain moments where I would look at Drew and go, I think he rolls on nat 1 here, so this is probably going to happen. And then Drew goes, and then it happens in the show, and you're like, oh, yay, they did it. They actually put that in. Or like, not a spoiler, but a little known fact about Vox Machina is they have trouble getting through doors. No matter what, in whatever campaign they're in, like doors are just bitches. Like it takes them like 30 minutes in game to get through a door where it's like, oh, the door is locked. oh no.
And
And
just
they
brought knock.
and
They have casters that could have knock, and they also have a super high level rogue, and they can't get those doors open.
yeah, the rogue
Jeez.
failed like 3 times trying to pick this one lock because what Matt does is he ups the DC every time they fail.
Right.
Which is what I think I'm going to start doing now that I've realized that, because I was like, oh, well, if you can just lockpick, then you can just keep doing it over and over again. Just the DC could get harder until it's impossible. Where it's like, oh, I just can't figure this lock out. I don't know what's wrong with it.
I'm pretty sure that's what Lanky Eric did too, but it pissed me off so much because I wanted to get into whatever chest.
Well, I
it
remember
was.
getting like heated one time in the early days because I hadn't comprehended that yet. Like I was really early into DMing, and I didn't realize that I could do that. I was like, oh, I set a DC 15. I can't up that. Like that's what I set it at. So he has to hit a 15, even if he tries 8 times in a row, and it's going to take an hour. Now I realize I can change that whenever I want. Like, okay, well, this lock is obviously harder than you were expecting. Like, maybe you haven't seen this model before, and it's kind of difficult. And then it can, scale from there. But there's a moment in the show where they're trying to get through a door, and they did it like true to how it was in the game, where he cannot pick the lock on the back door, and then Scanlan literally casts Bigby's hand to try to get in the back door and roll at it. And so he tries to punch the door open with Bigby's hand, and he casts it as a foot, and he calls it Scanlan's foot. And he tried to get it through, and he rolled a nat 1 in the game. And so I remember him rolling the nat 1 and missing. And so you see on the show as it just fades into the door and goes away.
Jeez.
And so he wastes a Bigby's hand on the door, and the person's like, I'm climbing through a window. So he climbs up, tries to go in, and falls down. Because he failed his check on climbing through the window. And he was like, yeah, window's too high. I tripped and fell. And so they couldn't get in, and someone ended up just like opening the door from the other side. Like that wasn't even related to them. But
geez.
I remembered that moment from the game. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad they did this way. But yeah, even if you're not a Critical Role fan, this is a good way to get like introduced to the characters. The first 2 episodes are like an introductory portion where they that wasn't actually in the game. They introduce it. It's a thing that happened in their home game before they started actually playing, or they started actually recording.
Yeah.
And so it's a little thing that happened before that was related to plot that happens later. So it like kind of introduces a little bit of that storyline and then throws you into like my favorite arc of the campaign that they're currently working on. Oh, satisfying.
The funny part is in the first episode, for a big fan of Critical Role like myself, knowing a lot of the story, the first episode really doesn't make a whole lot of sense at all. But it just sets up the rest of the story, so it doesn't even matter. You're willing to look past it like the second season of Walking Dead or the later seasons of Game of Thrones. You kind of just don't think about them.
Yeah.
Here's my hot take. Second season Walking Dead, way better than the first season. One of my favorite seasons.
Really?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the farm, and like I liked getting to know all the characters. I liked the
farm was cool.
Yeah, the intrigue with Rick and Shane. I mean, ultimately, it did go on a little bit long, but first 5 seasons, I'll even say season 5 was pretty great of The Walking Dead. I loved, but it sure got stinky quick.
Yeah, it did. The one absolute gem of that season, though, when Herschel has infinite ammo with that shotgun in the one episode, and he fires like 20 shots off into the... It was great.
Yeah. Herschel's my favorite.
You've gotten me,
so
Drew,
good.
you have indoctrinated me into realizing when people have infinite ammo and things.
Oh, yeah.
Because every time it happens, I realize it, and then you say it. Because I go, infinite ammo, like, cut. Like, where they just fire... When you were playing Mortal Kombat 11... in the campaign where she fires the guns off like 20 times in a row back to back, and you were like, oh, that was like 20 shots.
Yeah, it's a magic gun, okay?
He was like, oh, that was like 20 shots and she didn't reload. Weird.
She cast Conjure Barrage.
Oh my gosh. It's one thing if you specify, like, these are magic guns, but they don't. They just keep shooting over and over
Yeah,
again.
she's
they're
just in
not
the
magic
military.
Uh-huh.
No, but to end off the Vox Machina conversation, watching their characters who aren't even characters I made or played with, but just watching their characters be animated and seeing like, oh my gosh, this is like a real thing they've done. I almost cried. I felt so nostalgic and like full of emotion the second they all started talking to each other, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is a D&D show, and I know all of these moments. I felt so emotional watching it.
I'll admit it was pure nostalgia.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
You
for sure.
Get those like face tinglies when you think you're gonna cry, but you're not really sure why you're crying. It's kind of just
I
feels
teared
good.
up where I was like, "Oh my gosh, these are the people. Like this is the group that I watched for so long."
These are those geeks that I listened to on a podcast for a while, but they're real. I can see them.
Yep. So let's get into today's topic as I set my protein shake to the side of today's conversation, which is, I believe, ending campaigns and leaving characters behind.
Saying goodbye.
Saying goodbye to your characters or your campaign or both. Which is a very near and dear topic to my heart, given that I've ended 2 or 3 campaigns now. I think 2. But I've let characters go in the past, too. Like campaign characters that I played as. So this is a very close topic for me. And I think we can start by, giving our experiences of ending our first long-term campaign, which was Storm Kings.
But it's so sad, though. It's such a sad topic, Seth. Can we do a different topic instead?
Well, how long did we play in Storm Kings?
Like 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years of loving and developing my character. It was so sad.
Only got to level 15.
Yeah,
if only Eknon could have hit that level 20.
Yeah, so our longest term campaign was we played through Storm King's Thunder. I had changed a lot of things and added in little DLC things and whatnot. It ended up taking us 1.5 years, 2 years to finish the entirety of it. I think 80-something sessions it was.
It was a whole lot.
Yeah, it was a very long campaign, very fun. Probably some of the best college moments of my life happened sitting around a table with 4 or 5 other dudes. But we left those characters behind. Not last January, but the year before that in what in 2020. Yeah,
Yep.
in 2020, I think right before the summer, we left all of our characters behind because we finished the campaign with a bang. The last arc of the campaign I wrote was all homebrew. And it kind of brought together a lot of the stuff they accomplished in Storm King's Thunder, and then ended off some loose ends, bringing it to a huge apex and a final battle against fire giants and dragons and an archmage, all into one. Really cool stuff. Oh yeah, and the Vonendad, which was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it was great the way you incorporated a lot of elements that were, discussed briefly earlier on in the campaign. There was a very impactful moment with Daleth's mother, who we knew was an
Right.
adventurer. She comes in and, saves him and then dies in the process. And then there's, that whole revenge with Daleth, of course. And then we meet Artis Cimber and obtain the Ring of Winter, which was talked about, in session... 5?
5, yeah. I think it was session 5 whenever you guys went to Bryn Shander and learned about the Ring of Winter. And then I ended up making them delve down into the Dungeon of the Mad Mage for a little bit to find Artis Cimber, because Durnan, the owner of the Yawning Portal, had played a trick. So I wrote this myself, but Durnan had played a trick on Artis Cimber, sending him into the Dungeon of the Mad Mage to find Bookmark, his long-lost dagger, which the players had found earlier, which Durnan had actually kept and hidden from him just to see how long he would stay in the dungeon.
Yep.
And
then
he
he gave it to us.
Yeah, and he gave the dagger to them, oh, you need that guy? Here, give this to him. He's been down there for 3 years. And he gives it to them, and they end up finding Artis Cimber drunk off his ass. Some characters died in the process and had to be brought back. It was a crazy, crazy story. So much fun. And we ended off with the party finishing off the Vonendad, making amends with the fire giants, and restoring the Ordning finally. And that brings us to the fact that we had to let those characters go. And they still exist in the world. We had to let that story go. But how did you guys feel ending that day and knowing that you weren't going to be playing Morwen and Eknon anymore?
Well, I feel like this is a good thing to talk about because... in some ways, I don't think I ever let Morwen go because we, immediately after, we did have some loose ends to tie up. Morwen had been, I forget the spell. It's not raised dead, but, he was resurrected.
Right.
Which changes your race, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that my slight, meek, half-elven paladin was now a dragonborn. my least favorite race. That's just the way the cookie crumbled. But anyway, I had this idea in my mind. Yeah, Morwen's gonna get his body back somehow, and we'll figure that out. And we were discussing with you, Seth. All right, we'll have a Daleth one-off where we go into what happens with Daleth after the end of the campaign, and then after that we'll probably have a Morwen one-off. And Sean was doing Barrel's Brain Bash, and so we were having little bits and pieces of these characters will still be seen later. And then we started Descent into Avernus as like a sequel to Storm Kings, where we're still existing in the same world. So I know Morwen's out there somewhere, and eventually I'll probably say goodbye to him. But we never did that Morwen one-off. So.
Right, so we never actually finished that, which was something I think you can expect when you end a campaign. Like, oh, we should do this, oh, we should do that, and then we don't always get to those points. What
That's
about you,
D&D,
Drew?
though.
What about you with Eknon?
I have to agree with Zach. I don't think Eknon has ever actually fully left. He's always kind of been in my heart. And even recent, he was a sweet guy. It was really nice.
Yeah.
But even recently in Avernus, he actually had a little cameo, and we kind of noticed him out of the corner of the camera a little bit. It wasn't mentioned, nor would our characters know to go look at him. But just knowing that my character is somewhere in this world that we've built kind of gives me the tinglies. I'm not gonna lie. It gets me excited that any corner or location that we go to next could have my old character that I spent so long building.
Yeah, and I mean, knowing what your characters were doing even after finishing. So we run into characters all the time that like other people played in the past in like first edition, second edition. Characters like Mordenkainen who have existed in D&D for a long time. People like Laeral Silverhand. These are people that have existed in the world for a long time. They're written in. And characters that we don't think anything of, we're like, oh, this is just an NPC like that exists in the world. But that other people have attachments to because they either wrote them or played them. So now, building our own little world, we have the same opportunity here where it's like, okay, well, with our characters, they're still going to exist in the world even afterwards. So at any moment, you could walk into a bar and Barrel's playing there to do something, or you could enter a guild hall or something like that, and Eknon is having a meeting with someone because he needs something. So,
Which is crazy.
Yeah. It's really crazy that there could be these cameos. They're interacting in the world in the same way that you are, except they can, teleport and whatnot. So they can be anywhere.
Right. But we're getting up there. We're level 11 now.
Yeah, so you're only 4 levels behind where you left your characters off, and then you have to assume they're a little bit higher level at this point, given that it's been 30 years into the future.
Yeah, but Oswin could kick Morwen's ass.
Oh yeah, I mean Oswin is quite the strong character, but I think he would have trouble hitting Morwen.
Oh, absolutely,
and vice versa.
It would be just a stalemate. It's Zach's AC conundrum.
Yeah.
So I think I have a good question for you guys. Seth was just mentioning how there are older characters from first edition, second edition that you end up running into in a world because they're kind of staples in the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse at this point. How would you feel if you found out someone else's world, someone else's campaign, had Morwen or Schmidt?
I'd be flattered.
Would you be flattered, or would it be weird?
No, I'd be so happy they brought that character in. I'd be like, do what you want with them. Like, I'm glad that I explained this character. You found it interesting enough to play it yourself.
I'm not going to be able to cite this Reddit post that I saw at one point, but I heard of it a long time ago, where there was like this one person that such and such played with, and they just made a big impact in their game, and I'm pretty sure the player died or something along those lines. So, a bunch of people from around the world were like, oh, well, whatever this character's name was, this is what she was like. All right, well, I'm going to put her in my game. And I would love something like that.
Yeah, I would. You know what? If you guys die, I'll spread the word.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Please.
I guess thinking about it like that, it is pretty warm. I was thinking initially it might be a little odd, like, oh, you took my character and you put him in your world. That's weird. Don't talk to my character. I made that,
Well, yeah, I mean...
you think it would be weird?
I think initially, starting this conversation, still a little piece of me is like, well, that's kind of weird that you took my favorite character that I've been playing for years and are using him for your own purposes without my consent. But,
well, do you not feel like weird? Do you feel weird whenever, like, say you play a one-off, say you played a one-off with a different DM, and they use your NPC later on, or they use your character as an NPC later on. Like I've done that where I ran a couple of games for some different clubs in college and for some strangers at a job that I used to work at. And in both of those scenarios, I had different characters that people had made be the like quest givers and the NPCs. So like for one, I was in a Destiny 2 clan for a while. Don't mean to brag. But I was talking to these guys and they wanted to play some D&D. I was like, I'll write something for you and pull it up on Roll20. No problem. So I made something on Roll20, started it up, and I had Arwen, who was Kess's player character in my first campaign I ever run.
Please, Eric with a K.
Eric with a K. So her player character, Arwen, was the quest giver, the NPC who introduced them to the world they were in and gave some low-level quests. And it fit really well because they were an investigator. So they had, information about everything in the city. There was some corruption going on that they were kind of a bad person too, so they don't want to deal with it. But they were like, if you want to handle this, go over here.
I think that's totally okay. And I'm going to clarify, I think either of you two in front of me, as I've played so much D&D with you over the years, if either of you wanted to use, Eknon or Pyth or any of my characters in any of your one-offs or campaigns, you're more than welcome to. But I think that's the case because I know you and I lived him with you guys. If it was some, let's just say an acquaintance that I knew from, down the hall in college or something, and I had told them about my character and they started using him in their world, I think that's where it gets weird. Like, I need to have shared the experience of my character with you, if that makes sense. Otherwise, I feel like it's just a little off-putting. I understand your point of view because it's personal to you, but I do disagree because if I give you a little blurb or a stat block of Schmidt, feel free to use them. Or if I give you a little blurb or a stat block about Galandon, and I'm like, oh, he kind of talks like this, then I say that, go ahead, use him, have fun.
Yeah, well, and so I think that's sort of the DM mindset where you've thought about, writing modules and releasing them on DM's Guild, where you're like, a storyteller and a writer in that sense, where if you come up with a character, you would be more than happy for someone to, take this, nugget that you've created and then flesh it out, because ultimately that's what D&D is all about,
right,
is putting your own spin on it, and, even if you've taken a pre-written module, your Storm King's Thunder is not going to be Drew's Storm King's Thunder.
Yeah, I'd say 90% of the stuff that like I end up writing is because I got a one-sentence inspiration from somewhere. Like, those Reddit posts where it'll be like 100 different quests that you can give to your players, and like you go through and you're like, oh, number 75 is really good. I can make that something really cool, and it's just like Lich in a well. Oh, I can use that. That's not what I did. I came up with that one myself, but. As an example, it could say like, oh, a Lich has made a lair in a well guarded by undead or something like that. And it's like, oh, I could do something with that.
I think those scenarios are great because that's inspiration that someone's putting out there.
Yeah. So those are like shower thoughts that they had.
Yeah.
But in the same vein, if someone heard me talk about my character in a story time on here, I'd be so happy if they were like, hey, I used your character in something. I'd be like, oh, cool. What did they do? How were they? I'd be interested in hearing the story. And if I'm like, oh, they wouldn't really do that, but this is their version of it. Cool.
I could always trademark my character though, and then just sue somebody if they use them in their world.
That is true. You could do that.
That is handy. See, I'd be ruining.
Yeah, but they won't sue me if I put Mickey Mouse in the game, though. I promise.
It's my D&D, and Luke Skywalker will be featured. But just to give my my honest take, though, Drew, I definitely understand your standpoint. If I didn't, release this character for public consumption, as I probably wouldn't with any of my player characters, I think there's, an extension of myself in some ways. I do think it would be weird to see, another DM that I've never met before, doing their best. Pyth, my boy.
that would be fun though.
Yeah.
Like say you were watching a live stream and someone pulled that, and you'd be like, "Is that my character?"
Yeah, but they'd say it like, "Pyth, my boy, it is I, Oswin Alemaker," and that just wouldn't feel right.
No, that would suck.
Yeah.
I can understand if they did it differently than you; it would be weird. But at the same time, I'd still be like, "Oh, they liked my idea enough that they pulled it out." You know what? Thank you. Otherwise, all three of us have DM'd and ended in one way or another campaigns. So, first of all, I want to start with Drew's experience ending his campaign that he had for some players not too long ago. before I ask Zach about his, and then I'll go a little bit into mine.
So, as we've mentioned before, I've never completed, quote, a campaign before. I've gotten very far in. I think every time I say I change the number of sessions it was, but I think if I had to guess, it's actually somewhere between 40 and 50.
Yeah, you usually say something between 40 and 50.
It might be 42, 40, whatever. It's something in there. But we made it really far through. I really enjoyed the time I had. I had some great memories with my players over the year and change, maybe 2 years. We enjoyed it. But it was one of those things where it was a little on and off from time to time. It was never consistent. You kind of played when you wanted to, and you were all friends, so it was a great time overall, just enjoying yourself around the table. I think going back, I could probably readjust the way I end, and I think everyone ends their games in their own way, and there's not a right or wrong way to do it. But for me, it kind of lost its momentum at the end because we kind of knew we weren't going to get to play again at a certain point. But then we tried, and like 2 months later, we played one more session. It was like, oh, that was really fun, and we got kind of into it again. But then it sort of dwindled. So I would have to say, I guess, going back, give myself some inspiration. I guess find a good stopping point, and however it takes to do that, do your best to get there. It might be cutting it maybe a little shorter than you had anticipated because you get to a good stopping point. You might have to extend it a little bit based on the enemy you've been chasing for so many months, or you get a cool new arc, or your character's something totally off the wall that extends the story for a good bit. But don't let it dwindle. Mine definitely dwindled towards the end, and I do regret it. But overall, in the end, we actually all got together and had a long conversation about the campaign, talk about things that the players could have done, things they missed out on, magic items that they stumbled over and just missed between their fingers. So one way or the other, just get a conclusion to your story. And overall, I think everyone will have fun.
Well, and I think that's very interesting because, this is by no means, I haven't crunched the numbers, I haven't taken a survey, but I imagine most D&D campaigns end that way, where you get a group of people together and for one reason or another the campaign does just end. I guess my thought is, I mean, you've made your point clear that you think it's better to come to some sort of ending. I almost feel like it may be better to leave it open-ended, though you can definitely end up with those feelings of, well, but I never got that satisfying conclusion like you'd get from the season finale of the final season of your favorite show. But I almost like the to be continued, and maybe in 3 years I'll find my campaign notes and everyone will just happen to be in the same place and we can pick up where we left off. I almost I think that's something that could be an exciting experience. I've never experienced that myself as a DM, but it's not my place to give empirically. It's you must end your campaigns, but I think I would be inclined to agree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah, I think you make a great point there. I didn't mention it because I hadn't thought of it at the time when I started telling the story. One of my players in the party actually decided to opt out and did not join the session because he actually wanted to leave it open-ended, which I thought was really cool, and I was absolutely flattered because I was like, oh, he's wondering about how my story ends, But yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it can go either way. For me personally, I guess as a player and a DM, I kind of like the chapter closed portion of it. But in the same sense, I like a little mystery. So.
I also like a good narrative, a satisfying narrative, I'll say. Like I wouldn't like it if we started up like the next arc of Avernus and someone was like, oh, I can't play anymore. And I'm like, well, I needed you, so we can't finish now.
That
if we got to that point and it was like, oh, well, like say Drew, you had some huge job opportunity, you're going to be working 60 plus hours a week, you have no time to play D&D for the next year or two. I don't think we could continue Avernus as is. We would have to start a new game.
Yeah, and that would be so disappointing.
We would leave it as is.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
Oh yeah, because it feels like we finished the first arc and we still have the next big thing to go into.
Do you think there's a certain amount of time that has to pass before that happens?
What do you mean?
So I feel like in the beginning of a campaign, or even a series of one-offs, however you want to flavor your story, Sometimes people fall off, or you're finding your group. Something like along.
If we've played for 10 sessions sequentially and not stopped, I expect you to be around because.
So is 10 sessions the line?
I'm not putting it in a solid 10 sessions. If we're having a good time and everybody's showing up every week, and we're keeping really good momentum, I would really hope that you'd stay around to finish at least the story we're working on right now. I think more so, I think you're right, Zach, that a majority of the time, that is how people's campaigns end. Like, they die off, someone gets busy, 2 or 3 people have to end up dropping out because, they're theater majors and they have a show coming up, or, one thing leads to another, and not everybody can make the same schedule anymore, which is the one big flaw of D&D, I would say, is that everybody has to be together for 4+ hours, or 2+ hours, I'll say. It doesn't have to be 4. But everyone has to be together for a certain period of time. And one really big flaw is that I wish that we all had time to, be doing D&D all the time. I wish that it wasn't so difficult to keep a game going like that. We've gotten lucky in that we don't really deal with that because we have a really, really solid group, as we've mentioned many times. Like, we're an outlier among the D&D community that we can keep a game going for as long as we have.
I'm blushing.
Yeah, but it's really just you will have to let go of your characters at some point.
Yeah,
and you won't always have a satisfying ending. So sometimes it's good to, if it can't be resolved in game, have a post-campaign debrief. Like Drew, you said you told everyone, well, here's all the things you missed, and here's where it could have gone. That's awesome. Because ultimately, you are going to have to move on at some point. I know some people burn their character sheets when they're done with them. I like to hang on to mine. I'll probably frame them at some point.
I was going to say, framing them sounds like a great idea. Like, I spent 2 years with this guy,
Yeah.
I do want to say the ending of Storm Kings, I'm not talking about the Storm Giants versus Fire Giants fight you guys went through, but the Daleth one-off felt like the perfect conclusion to the campaign, to where I was like, I don't really want to go back to the characters because it was such a satisfying conclusion. At some point, I'm sure we'll go back and play something. Like, we'll have Morwen lead a mission, or we'll have someone do something. It would be really cool to do that. But when I went into that, I was thinking this is going to be a fun little thing. Like, oh, we get to play the characters one last time. It'll be really satisfying and fun, and really round out Daleth's story. But I did not expect it to go where it went, and I did not expect for us to all in the session damn, that was it. It's over after this. Because and I think that was a good thing that we ended up doing that a week or two after we ended the campaign, because the ending of the campaign felt very much like to be continued. We'll see these guys again some other time, whether it's the next campaign, the next story we do, we'll see them doing something later. But when we did the Daleth one-off, where it was okay, time skip, I think it was 20 years into the future or something like that, and then the next one was 30. It was 20 years in the future, and things had been going on around, and Daleth had still been missing all of this time. And then finally, right there at the end, whenever, I guess we can just go ahead and say it, but Daleth ends up getting, executed at the end, which was very much a kind of moment. Sean's character is just going at it, freaking out, don't do it, please. And everybody's holding him back, no, you can't interrupt this. He's chosen this. Mm-hmm. And the second that campaign ended, I was like, I don't have to write anything more for this. That's it. I've done it. I've done my job as the DM for 2 years.
Yeah.
I think thinking about it now in hindsight, that is the only time I've ever experienced a character death in that sense and been satisfied with it at the end.
Yeah.
Looking back, I could think of situations in where, my players did something stupid, that was dumb. You shouldn't have done that. Or even back to Storm Kings, where my character went down in the place with all the hill giants.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, I could have made a better decision there. That would have worked out better, But the ending of the entire story, the ending of the entire story where we lost a character in that way, I don't know what it was specifically. I don't know if it was just that it was so many years and there was some downtime in between that last session. I don't know, but
I think the satisfying part was that he was given the choice.
Right,
where
and ultimately he elected to die, because Moreland would have brought him back in a second if he wanted to.
But if you had cast a spell on him, he could have chosen to stay dead. And obviously he would have at that point. Where, like we explained earlier, Dayla's mother had passed in the campaign, and he was at the end, he was like, all right, I'm satisfied. I've done everything I need to. Just let me go, guys. Because he was given the opportunity by the city of Waterdeep, like, hey, you're a very smart dude. You're very powerful. You've done so much for the realm. You've done a lot of bad things too. You can stay here, but you're going to be like Rapunzel up in her tower. We're going to give you it. We'll give you a wizard tower. You can stay in it, and you can only work for good all the time. And he said, no, I'd rather die. And that was very much like, okay. And I explained it like slowly how it was going to happen. And even Eknon's moment right there at the very end where he turned invisible, went up, like snuck up behind him, put his hand on his shoulder. He's like, just say the word. We'll get you out of this. And he was just like, no, let me go. And it was like, everybody had chills. I'm feeling it right now. Everybody had chills at the time. And yeah, that was the most satisfying conclusion I've had to a campaign, I would say. And I hope we have another one at the end of Avernus that's very, very similar. But yeah, that was a very proud moment as a DM for me, where I was just like, oh, this just happened. Like, I didn't even plan for this.
Well, yeah, that was the beauty of it, because we didn't know that Patrick was going to do that going into the session. We had no clue that this is where
I didn't even know as the DM. Like, I didn't even know before the session that we were going to end up in this situation.
It's very beautiful when, everyone's ideas get to, intermingle, and the DM gets surprised at the end of the session. I think as a DM, it's difficult to end a campaign without having additional thoughts and wanting to continue. And obviously, I think that's a lot of the reason why Avernus was still set in Forgotten Realms in the same timeline as our Storm King's Thunder campaign.
Our MCU, please.
Yeah, pretty much. Our D&D cinematic universe, our D&D CU.
Sure.
That's pretty bad.
I'm into it.
You can cut that out. But when I ended my first campaign, and my only campaign that has seen a full conclusion, Curse of Strahd, I just wanted to continue so bad. I was like, I've got this idea and this idea. And I mean, we'd only played for 26 sessions. I think 26.
Yeah,
was the
I didn't
last
feel
one.
like I was done with Galandon.
Yeah. And you were only level 11. So
Right.
we definitely could have kept going. But it got to the point where I kept having all these ideas, but there was no way that I was going to be able to get everyone back together. So was I going to do some players but not others? And it didn't feel right to exclude anyone. So ultimately I let it sit and fester, and then I didn't go anywhere with it, which I definitely regret. But not I don't regret not continuing. I regret thinking about it for so long.
Right.
I wish I would have let it go and moved on to something else, which I did, and that was being a player in Storm King's Thunder, which was, just awesome. And I'm happy to be DMing now, a little on the side, but at some point I would like to get that, that satisfying, I did this as the DM, and, have that, awesome conclusion.
There were a good number of those in Storm Kings where we would hit a really good story beat, and I would be like sweating, like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? I have to know what they're going to choose to do. They're about to write the next 10 sessions for me. What is going to happen here? Where as soon as it was over, I was like, whew, and I could sit down and be like, that was a good session. I think that happens more for me now in Avernus. Maybe it's because I'm a more experienced DM now, or because, I had such good guides for this one, as opposed to like Storm Kings. Pretty much a lot of the stuff was like, I read the book and now it's off the top of my brain. I've done a lot more research for Avernus, where I feel like I was able to like jump in and add bits of information here and there. I feel like I've gotten a lot more of those satisfying, like, yeah, that was a session. Like, that was a satisfying session for me, where, and I feel like all of us have different vibes and like sessions that we like more. Like, I feel like, Zach, you like sessions where there's really, really satisfying combat, and you end with a really sick kill, and that's like, boom, really satisfying. Me, I'm satisfied whenever the narrative is like really chunky, whenever the combat might last 30 minutes or less, and the whole rest of the session is you guys building up the story for me. Whether it's you guys having conversations or me explaining rooms that I didn't plan beforehand really well and being like, that was a good room,
Yeah.
Sessions where I feel like I'm like on my A game the whole time, like explaining. Because combat for me gets really stale and boring because I just want to get to the next part of the story. That's just my kind of D&D. Unless I'm playing. If I'm a player, I really like having some satisfying hits.
Well, because you don't know if you're gonna die.
Yeah,
Sometimes
exactly.
I'll throw shit at you where I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna live through this or not, and you do the same.
Yeah, I do the same.
as
where
I expect.
Yeah, as I throw a beholder at my level like
7
party.
We were so fucked. But we've discussed this on the podcast before.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
back to that episode, the Fey Holder and some other things.
Yeah. So, likewise, I feel that ending my own campaigns, I've only had satisfying endings at this point, and I hope to have satisfying endings from now on. I did a 9 or 10 session campaign for my first one, which had a very satisfying ending, which I wasn't expecting. It was a 1 to 5 that I had completely written myself in a setting I completely wrote myself to. Don't do that your first time, by the way.
Don't do it, guys.
So it's just too much work. And so they went through this huge mega dungeon that took them like 3 or 4 sessions to go through. And when they got to the top, they found the mage that had been doing everything wrong. He was summoning elementals from the plane of fire by opening gates all over the place using a ring of 3 wishes. He had used 2 wishes and he had 1 left. And when the party got up there, he was about to make his last one when a gigantic gate opens up, a Glabrezu comes out, and is about to take on everybody who's within sight because he had been summoned by something, I don't know, it wasn't very narratively sound. And so they're fighting fire elementals and a Glabrezu, which is tough for a level 5 or 6 party that they were. They finally end up winning the combat. The mage hands over the Ring of 3 Wishes, and they're able to wish the portals shut to like stop everything from happening. And now the Ring of 3 Wishes is out, so they're not stuck with a legendary item. To which an NPC they had met earlier came up, talked to them, revealed themselves to be a dragon, and flew them back to the city that they came from. It was a very satisfying conclusion because they had actually done like a Persona style like change of heart on this guy where they talked to him and he changed his mind. He was like, no, you guys are right. Like, I'm being an idiot here. He had been doing this bad thing he had been doing this bad stuff for so long, and then they talked to him and were like, you meant to do good here and you accidentally did bad. We get it. So we're going to take you back and turn you in. He's like, fine, I'll go with you. And so they turn him in and he gives a rousing 5-minute or so speech that I came up with right off the dome, to which one of my players asked, hey, how long did it take you to write that? That was a good speech. And I went, I didn't. I didn't do anything. I just said it. And they were like, oh, well, props to you. Good job. And that had a very satisfying ending where they were all like, my character's going to do this over the next couple of years and then do this. My character's going to do this and then do that. They all talked about it. We talked about it for like an hour. And that was it. I did not expect. I was like, that's it. We're not doing any more of this. The conclusion is there. It's over. The semester's happened, and 2 of you are graduating. So leave my site. But I would say that was my first campaign, and then Storm King's right after, and now Avernus, and all been satisfying so far.
You know, just going off of that, I think that moment you had right there, that speech that kind of just rolled off the tongue and popped in perfectly. At the end of the day, right there, it didn't matter all your players died or if you guys totally just annihilated the mage, didn't talk to her or anything. Because that happened, that super cool speech, or you know that one player got to make that final wish to seal all of the fire portals so that no one else can come through. Like, that's the moment that makes it satisfying. Once you have that play, that moment where you outsmarted someone, you did something really cool, you can look back on your character's moment like, damn, that was awesome. That's it. That's the pinnacle right there. You're good to go.
I've never been able to write a moment like that. It's always off the dome whenever it happens. It's like I have to say this on the spot or else it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, and I will say that that's very true. Like any moments in D&D where I've prepped it, I've written what's gonna be said, I've planned the music, I've planned the atmosphere, I set up everything perfectly. It's never as satisfying as, oh, well, this thing just magically happened.
Yeah.
And was perfect. I think my favorite session of Curse of Strahd was something that just sort of organically came into being, and I won't talk too much about it because Drew hasn't played it yet. But we did have a character death, It was actually a NPC at this point because the player left, and it was just a very dramatic, satisfying moment where
Yeah, I remember said moment. It was really fun.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite sessions in the whole campaign too. That and meeting a certain group of NPCs that I really liked.
yeah, of course. I'm actually not sure who you're talking about.
Nah, you'll figure. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody because Curse of Strahd, if you're a new DM and you want some inspiration on where to start, Curse of Strahd's a great campaign. Probably one of the most narratively sound campaigns out there out of the whole bunch. And it's just so Dungeons and Dragons. And it has a satisfying ending and beginning. So all the way around, Curse of Strahd's great. But it's not high. I wouldn't say it's high fantasy as much as a lot would expect. It's more of like a, well, now that there's JoJo's subclasses, you could play JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in Curse of Strahd. You could play Arc 1 of JoJo's.
I know nothing about JoJo's,
So
but I would not have thought Curse of Strahd was anything like it.
So JoJo's the first season is about him and his best friend / brother who hate each other, who is a vampire.
He's
Okay,
a vampire?
Yeah, kinda.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and now that they have a monk subclass, there we go.
Aura.
And it's really funny. Me and Seth were just talking about this. I thought about playing a monk of the actual self for this one-off or this arc we have coming up. And I thought of this really fun flavoring for the monk, in which case I could fight alongside my spectral being. And Seth goes, "Oh, just like JoJo's."
And then you said, I'll play something else.
Yes, I did.
He related it to Noob and Smoke in Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
And-
the really, really cool, like, newer ones. I guess if you've ever played Mortal Kombat, Noob and Smoke, like, connect together, and it's like one guy is very, I guess, monk fighter-ish, and then he has his shadow that fights alongside him. And he's always physically there and present, and he actually hits people. So it's not like a spiritual thing. It's pretty cool. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, I really liked the idea, but the reason I don't like the subclass is because anytime someone brings it up, I go, "Oh, so you got to stand." From JoJo's.
We're gonna ruin it.
It's a little too on the nose where, Noob and Smoke are kind of that, but they're not exactly that. Like, it's clear that this subclass was designed to be one thing and one thing only, and that's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah, exactly. It's so if someone plays it, they got to like. You had the really good idea with the Warforged that I liked, which was where the Warforged, it's the astral self one, but the Warforged believes it's an astral self, that it's like some higher spiritual thing. It's an extra set of arms that he has on him. So he actually has 4 arms that come up. And the astral self is like the back 2 arms, and he's got 2 in the front. And he just believes that it's like a gift from like the heavens.
Well, maybe it was. From the god of robots.
And I love that. I love the idea, though, that it's like, I am spiritual, yet therefore I am like special. And I have 4 arms.
Also, I have 4 arms. Punch, punch.
Which to the same level, I absolutely loved him. But a piece of me that made me not want to play him is because every time I thought of him, I thought of General Grievous from Star Wars.
Yep, I thought of the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was just one of those like, oh no, I can't do it. I gotta change it.
You just gotta Patrick it and play along with that and be like, "Oh yeah, my name's Grievous."
Oh, no, but I hate that though. Oh, I can't.
That's
I
how he
can't.
plays characters. Is he'll come up with a thing, and instead of like playing it off like, no, that's not the thing, he'll just go, "Oh yeah, my name is Varys from Game of Thrones."
Oh, I forgot he did that.
Yeah,
Oh, my
remember
God.
Yeah.
he came in intending to be the personality of Varys from Game of Thrones. He is not that at all. Like, that character evolved to a way where he is in no way Varys from Game of Thrones, but his first couple of sessions he was.
I forgot about that too. But then he killed Jabaz, and after
Yeah,
that, that was pretty much the end of it.
The second he killed Jabaz, it was all downhill from there. Where I was like, you sure you want to punch him again? Like, you don't want to hold back with your monk fists? No, I'm just gonna do a quick like tap, make sure he's asleep. Okay, but you're gonna hit him. But you're gonna hit him full force. Yeah. Okay. You cracked his skull. He's dead.
Yeah, I mean, you had him roll damage and everything. He was a commoner. Like, what'd you expect?
Yeah.
Poor guy. Poor Jabaz. He was a good guy.
He was so
too.
nice to you guys too.
He had such a good gig too, working in a bathhouse like that.
Yeah.
That's a steamy job right there. That's a good place to be.
Was he the one with the watch?
The watch.
We definitely have a watch, and I'm pretty sure Varys still has it on him.
I don't remember. Someone had a watch at some point.
I don't remember.
I
Yeah, I
feel
don't
like we
remember
stole
either.
it from Jabaz.
Probably.
Now I could scry on Jabaz. Just
You
know
can
where he's
speak
at.
with dead.
You see him still locked in that room. No one ever opened the door.
That's
No.
I hate that. That's so sad. The idea that his family never came looking for him, and he's
The
still
funny
there.
the funny thing was when Varys returned the next day, and there were just guards standing around. He was like, "Why are there guards here?" I'm like, "Oh, I wonder who could have possibly murdered this man."
Maybe it's because you returned to the scene of the crime.
As they
murderer.
always do.
Yep. And then he got arrested. But
Alright,
they couldn't pin it on him. He was just so suspicious.
Yeah, it wasn't me, the lizard guy.
No, it was a different lizard guy.
Oh my gosh, we found a select amount of scales on his skin. Do you know what could have happened here, lizard man?
Beats me.
Could have been anyone. Why is your fist all bloody?
Don't worry about it.
I punched the wall.
I got so mad about my...
I'm so mad Jabaz is dead.
Yeah, exactly. Jabaz died.
Do you think Jabaz had a satisfying story? Do
No.
you think he concluded well to his arc?
No.
No, he didn't.
No,
sad.
I actually wanted Jabaz to be like your friendly bathhouse guy that you got to talk to later too. It's like, oh, what'd you find back there? Like, what happened? And then, like be a connection for you guys in Baldur's Gate. And then it was too early. It was too early, man. He was dead now.
He was a little suspicious. Like
A little bit.
I'm not
He
going to
was
say
meant
that,
to be a little suspicious
Yeah.
though, to be like, oh, is he in on it or is he not? Like that was kind of the vibe I wanted for him. Was like, is he part of this gang and trying to hide something, or does he not even care or know? The truth was he didn't really care or know. So he knew no idea. He was just being a little suspicious, like why do you want to know? Why are you asking me questions? And then he got knocked down and killed.
Yeah, but not before giving Oswin a very heterosexual massage.
I appreciate the specification there.
Well, he was interested though.
Oh, of course. Well, but Oswin wasn't. He wasn't. I say as I let the steam out of my shirt collar.
I feel like Jabaz was probably a cutie. Probably was.
Oh, he
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
was. Definitely Oswin's type. I mean, my type. How about that game?
I like the idea now that we wrap up our campaign. Like, we've been traveling around in hell for 2 years. Let's go take a bath. Let's go just wash it all off.
That would
boys.
be a great way to roll credits. Like, and you all go back to the bathhouse.
Yeah, well, that's what Varys is going to do.
Yeah, we have an arc coming up with Varys where he is split off from the party. The party is like a little bit separate right now, and the group of them are going to head, or they've been going through separate arcs. So Python and Keeley, who are our wizard and sorcerer, went back to college for a little bit and had a little arc there that we just concluded. Now Oswin's going to have his little arc. He's heading to Candlekeep for a bit, and Varys is headed over to Baldur's Gate to do something. So it's all going to be a lot of fun. But what do you guys think? Any final thoughts on ending campaigns for this week, or losing characters, forgetting characters, or leaving them behind, giving them a legacy? Anything?
Well, I think one thing that we didn't really touch on is one-off characters and what happens to them.
Yeah,
Um,
they become NPCs.
yeah. Oh, for sure. I think more than like long-time campaign characters, you can easily just slide. Oh yeah, I played this character once. He's like a fighter type. I'll just
Very useful for a DM.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if you're pulling up a random encounter or something like that, just to like toss in your one-off character who walks by on a horse, just like. Or like they go trotting by on a horse, they talk to the party for a minute, and they leave. It's like, oh, that was nice, and no one had any clue because none of them met that character.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a great use if you want to bring them back in some capacity. Again, I don't burn them, but I do miss them sometimes. You don't have to get so hung up on them because you will be playing in other one-offs, and there will be other great characters that you make.
Yeah.
But yeah, just think on them fondly, and even if it's a character that you only had a little bit of time with in a campaign, just take care to remember them. Even if they didn't get the send off that you would have liked, maybe Haymog died in the 6th session or whatever it was.
He was a great character, though.
Yeah, but you'll talk about him for forever. If he was that good. So I don't know. Allow yourself to hang on to the parts that you want and let go of the ones that you don't so much. I don't think Orheim Coppertooth is going to be sticking around in my craw anytime soon. But they're not all winners.
Well, I feel like we've kind of gone around this quite a bit. I think we've pretty much covered the ins and outs of the satisfying endings, what it takes, how you get there, and it all comes down to the journey gets you to where you need to be. It might not be the ending you expected, but put your best into your character, enjoy the fun, get some good hits, roll some nat 20s, and you'll have a good ending. Enjoy it.
And as far as ending a campaign goes, I would say that remember all the best sessions you had as fondly as possible. If you had some bad sessions in there, learn from them, carry them into the next campaign. But if you're DMing, you're going to be doing it for a long time, I hope. So keep that going forward. Use all the tools you can from the campaigns that you've ended. Remember the good parts and tell stories about it, especially amongst the friends that were in the campaigns. And other than that, just keep playing. And with that, I think we're going to end this episode of Table Talk Friday. Thank you guys so much for listening this week. If you'd like to write into the show with any questions, comments, concerns, or talk about a campaign that you ended recently or a long time ago, hit us up at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com. That's where you can send us any sort of inquiries that you want. And with that, let's have a character take us out.
Goodbye, my name is Jabaz, and I'm saying goodbye because I'm dead. You'll never see me again, but you might talk about me later.
Hello, it's Agnon Greylock here. Thank you for listening to Table Talk Friday. For more adventures, check us out at your favorite podcast service. If you have any questions about our travels, please write us a magic letter at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com. Otherwise, stop by next Friday for our next episode. Enjoy.